There comes a moment in every human life when the air shifts, when the room that once embraced you quietly turns against you. A subtle glance, a whispered accusation, or a venomous remark drips into the air, and you feel the silent weight of eyes awaiting your reaction. Your pulse quickens, your breath tightens, and instinct beckons you to rise, to justify, to clarify, to defend. Yet in that very moment lies the invisible line that divides the strong from the weak. For the instant you defend yourself, you bend the knee to another's judgment. Ralph Waldo Emerson taught that no man can stand tall while bowing to another's opinion. The moment you rush to clear your name, you accept the world's authority over your own truth. You confess, by your very eagerness, that their accusation has power. The self-reliant spirit does not kneel before the noisy assembly. He stands in silence, letting falsehood crumble beneath its own weight. We are trained from youth to chase approval, to polish the mirror others hold for us. But that mirror is deceitful. To defend yourself before those who do not seek truth is to feed a fire that consumes your peace. Power is not in argument. It is in composure. The moment you explain, you have already accepted their frame, their stage, their script. You become an actor in another man's play. But when you remain silent, when your stillness becomes your shield, you stand outside the performance entirely, untouchable, serene and profoundly free. When a falsehood is cast at you, let it hang in the air like smoke. Do not wave your arms to clear it. The movement only spreads it wider. Truth does not defend itself, it waits. It stands like a mountain unmoved by passing clouds. The weak shout, "That's not true!" The strong allow silence to speak in thunder. Emerson once wrote that, "What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us." To the man rooted in his own nature, the judgment of others is mere wind. The self-reliant soul knows that perception is not reality, it is projection. The eyes of others will cast shadows that have nothing to do with your shape. When you defend yourself, you step into their shadow. When you stay silent, you remain in your own light. Consider the lion. When it is called dangerous, it does not roar to justify its nature. It simply looks steady, unshaken, eternal. That gaze alone becomes law. The lion's silence is not weakness, it is dominion. The wise man learns from that stillness. The more he explains, the smaller he becomes. The more he observes, the larger his presence grows. Silence is not the absence of voice, it is the presence of mastery. It does not beg to be understood, it demands to be felt. Your aim is not to be agreed with, it is to be undeniable. You need not persuade when your very calmness unsettles those who question you. Power, true power, dwells not in noise, but in the gravity of restraint. Picture a crowded table, laughter, subtle jabs, a sudden accusation meant to diminish you. Most men scramble to smooth the air. They smile nervously, they protest, they explain. And with every word, their authority dissolves. But the Emersonian soul pauses. He lets the silence breathe. He meets the accuser's gaze without a tremor of defense. That quiet composure becomes a storm in itself. The accuser begins to fidget, uncertain why the world suddenly feels heavier on their shoulders. The audience senses it too, not through words, but through energy. The center of gravity has shifted. The room no longer belongs to the loudest voice. It belongs to the calm one. Mystery is a form of power. The more others think they know you, the less they respect you. The more they wonder, the more they revere. When you speak too soon, you drain your essence into explanation. When you remain still, you invite imagination, and imagination is always larger than truth. The man who holds silence commands the thoughts of others without uttering a syllable. This is not coldness, it is command. Emerson believed that greatness is to be misunderstood, for misunderstanding is the price of originality. The man who does not explain himself lives above the reach of common minds. He is feared not for what he says, but for what he withholds. His silence becomes a sermon. His composure becomes prophecy. And when his words finally arrive, they strike like lightning, brief, brilliant, irreversible. When silence becomes your armor, the insecure cannot bear its weight. They wanted combat, a sparring of words, and instead they are left alone with their own noise. The accuser, deprived of your defense, grows restless. They repeat their charge, louder this time, as if volume could replace truth. They twist details, summon allies, and perform their outrage before others. Yet the more they speak, the smaller they become. Your stillness becomes their mirror, and in that reflection, they begin to see their own frailty. The wise man understands this secret. Silence is a test that exposes character. Those who seek validation crumble beneath it. Those who possess conviction thrive within it. The one who stands calm in the storm commands the respect of all who watch. Even your critics, though unwilling to admit it, feel a reluctant awe. For silence forces the world to reckon with its own noise. But silence alone is not enough. There are moments when falsehood must be turned upon itself, not through defense, but through redefinition. Emerson wrote that, "A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds. To cling to another's frame, to live by their terms, is to hand them authorship of your story." Reframing is not rebellion, it is reclamation. When someone calls you arrogant, you may reply, not with anger, but with wisdom. Confidence unsettles only those unsure of themselves. You have not defended. You have transcended. You have shifted the burden of proof to the one who threw the stone. The art lies in calm precision, few words, but chosen like chisels. Think what you will. Interesting. That's not how I see it. Such phrases are quiet storms. They close the door without slamming it. They remind the world that you are not within reach of small minds. To defend yourself is to enter the mud. To reframe is to make the mud irrelevant. In every arena, the boardroom, the dinner table, the heart, power belongs to the composed. I once observed a leader accused of recklessness in a crowded meeting. The challenge was sharp, public, designed to wound. Yet he did not flinch. He leaned back, regarded his accuser, and said, "Then tell us your plan." The challenger faltered, words tripping over pride. In seconds, the room saw what calmness had already known, that boldness without substance collapses under its own echo. The leader did not defend. He allowed truth to reveal itself in stillness. In personal life, the same truth holds. When love becomes an accusation, "You don't care about me anymore," most rush to defend, to soothe, to prove. But self-reliance does not beg to be believed. The Emersonian soul does not debate feelings into submission. He meets emotion with presence. A steady gaze, a slow breath, a quiet reply. "That's not how I see it." And suddenly the storm softens. The accuser begins to question their own certainty. The tempo changes. The emotional battlefield, once chaotic, now moves to your rhythm. Whoever controls the rhythm controls the reality. The modern man fears disappearing. He fears irrelevance. Yet vanishing is sometimes the highest act of control. When you withdraw entirely, no response, no glance, no trace, you leave your opponent swinging at shadows. The more they seek reaction, the more desperate they become. The world begins to see their obsession, not your silence. Every new attack appears smaller, more hollow. Meanwhile, your absence grows into legend. To the self-reliant mind, vanishing is not escape, it is elevation. You do not leave the stage in defeat. You rise above it until the play itself dissolves. Silence, deflection, precision. These are not tactics of manipulation. They are disciplines of sovereignty. They return the mind to its rightful throne. To remain silent is not to retreat. It is to hold your ground on a higher plane. To deflect is not avoidance. It is art, the redirection of energy. To cut with precision is not cruelty. It is mercy, sparing both yourself and others from the poison of endless argument. And when used together, these tools form a quiet fortress. You no longer chase reputation, for reputation is glass. You build aura instead, unseen, unbreakable, like the gravity of a planet. Aura does not beg for trust. It demands recognition through presence alone. A good name can be destroyed with a whisper. A strong aura cannot be touched by storms. It does not need the approval of the crowd, for the crowd bends unconsciously toward its gravity. True self-reliance is not arrogance. It is spiritual independence. It is the refusal to let noise dictate your peace. When you stop defending yourself, you begin defining yourself. The world adjusts to your stillness, the way tides adjust to the moon. There comes a level beyond silence, a state not of withdrawal, but of presence so complete that accusation loses its language. When a man has anchored himself within, no slander can reach him. It breaks upon him like waves against granite. This is not indifference, it is transcendence. The highest power is not to ignore your critics, but to make them irrelevant. The crowd, ever hungry for spectacle, turns first to the loudest. But when the loudest meets the unmoved, something strange happens. The noise fades, and attention shifts toward the one who does not flinch. People begin to wonder, how can a man remain so calm when provoked? They start defending you before you speak, not because you ask them to, but because silence has revealed a truth louder than defense ever could. When you master yourself, the world becomes your advocate. The weak think control means dominance over others. The wise know it means dominion over one's own reaction. The moment you respond in haste, you trade truth for tempo. But when you breathe, when you let silence stretch like an ocean between you and the attack, your very calmness unsettles the aggressor. They expected fire and found stillness, a stillness they cannot interpret. And what man fears most is not anger, it is mystery. Mystery is the shadow of power. The more unknowable you are, the more untouchable you become. Do not seek to be transparent, seek to be true. Transparency begs for inspection. Truth needs none. Every great soul in history bore an air of distance, not because they wished to seem aloof, but because they had grown beyond the need for validation. Their words were few, but their presence was infinite, Emerson wrote. To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. The man who never defends himself has achieved this. He lives by the quiet law of his own nature. He does not need to explain goodness. He embodies it. He does not need to assert strength. It radiates through his restraint. His calm is not absence of feeling, it is mastery of it. Understand this well. The final form of power is not attack nor defense, but equilibrium. When you cease to be shaken by judgment, you no longer live in reaction, you live in creation. The world bends to those who do not bend to it. And this bending is not forced. It is natural, as trees lean toward light. To defend yourself is to accept the posture of the accused. To stand silent is to claim the posture of the observer. But to live so purely that accusation cannot find purchase, that is freedom. When the spirit stands in truth, it does not repel lies. They simply fall away. So withdraw from the habit of explanation. Abandon the urge to prove. Refuse the bait of judgment. Every time you remain still when provoked, you are not being passive, you are building aura. The unseen current of respect and unease that surrounds you becomes your shield. You no longer play the game of appearances. You embody the truth that no game can reach. From this day forward, carry this law within you. Speak less, mean more. Move with purpose, not defense. Let your silence carry weight. Let your words, when they come, arrive like verdicts, not arguments. Those who misunderstand you were never meant to guide you. Those who understand you will never demand proof. When you stop defending yourself, you do not lose your voice. You discover it. And that voice, quiet and unwavering, becomes the thunder the world cannot silence. Because, as Emerson would remind us, the most powerful man is not the one who strikes first, but the one who no longer needs to strike at all.